Hey y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to today's first episode of Me, Myself, and Healing. I am Alexis, licensed clinical social worker and mental health therapist. On today's episode, we have a lot in store for y'all because today we'll be talking about self-love. Now, of course, we know the month of February can get quite challenging. So whether you are preparing for Valentine's Day, Galentine's, or trying to figure out this whole love thing, you came to the right episode. Joining me today is Wale and Sandra. Wale is a licensed mental health counselor in the state of New York and a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas. You all may have seen her leading workshops as well as moderating for your favorite artists. And Sandra. Sandra is a CEO and founder of Jazada Hair Collection, Jazada Design, and social media influencer. You all may have also seen her very popular and adviseful, is that even a word?
Today it is.
You also may have seen her on TikTok, on Instagram. Social media influencer, I like to call her our hair and beauty guru. So thank y'all so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have y'all.
Yay! Happy to be here.
Yes. Okay, so now that we got through intros, it's very interesting like how we all met, because at first I met Sandra and then Sandra was like the bridge that connected me to you, right? So Sandra, thank you so much for being here today, but I never understood, how did y'all meet?
I actually don't remember.
I think it's because of Neoma.
Yes, but was that college?
I feel like I might have briefly met you in college, but I didn't meet you for real until Brooklyn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And she saved my life.
Really?
Child.
It's a whole
So a therapist even saved
you
my
know?
life.
We used to, so we would all hang out in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a fun time.
I know.
That was pre-COVID.
Crazy.
It was a good time.
Such a fun time pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then one day, Sandra and my other friend, Kaja, they were coming over to hang out in my house.
Yeah.
And they rode a Rebel, which is kind of like a
moped, like a Vespa.
Yeah, like a Vespa kind of thing. It was like,
don't ride that.
It was like really new that year, and everyone was riding around except for me because I'm a scaredy cat. I don't just do danger or anything that's similar to danger.
Okay.
So they were coming over, and then they were riding the Rebel, and they hit a pothole on the Rebel and flew off the bike.
You know what? I think I remember you coming in the group chat and being like, y'all, I just kind of got into an accident.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah. So
I had just turned 25 too.
Literally like met them on the street, like bloody, like clothes torn up. It was
laid
out.
out.
A crime scene.
Laid out on
like
the
an
floor like
angel.
this.
Like I was like with like napkins and band-aids. Like, oh my God, like what's going on?
Oh
like
my God.
my friend Kaja like chipped her tooth. And we had to take her to like the urgent care.
Yeah.
And she didn't have insurance for real. It was a whole thing.
And I couldn't like bend my knee and then like my
Yeah.
so I low-key like thinking back on it, I probably should have gotten stitches. But
You
my
definitely
knee,
should have. Yeah, it
my knee
was
is crazy.
Big
Money
gash.
is real
It was a
crazy.
big
Yeah.
gash.
And we're like laid
Definitely
out
to
on
the
the
white
floor.
beach. It was sad.
I couldn't bend my knee, and then I don't know why I tried to go to work the next day. But when I was there, I was
actually.
I'm
Look
leaving.
at you pushing through.
I'm leaving. Capitalism, right?
Yeah.
But it was just so funny because we were laid on the ground, and Wale runs over with like paper towels, and then like everyone's going into the bodega. They're like, "Do you need anything?" I'm like,
Literally,
"Water."
you know, randoms on the street. We're like trying to help them up. It was crazy. It was like honestly just like a random Sunday. Also,
And we were poor, so they're like, "Do you want us to call the ambulance?" We're like, "No,
like please don't. It's gonna be like $5,000.
We're fine.
It was
We're
a
like
whole
this.
thing.
We're fine."
All this trauma, but y'all was thinking coherently from what it sounds like.
You know?
But I mean, outside of that, like we would all hang out, like dinner, go out. It was a good time.
It was a good time. And she lived right by me. So then I would walk. She tried to put me onto The Bachelor and Love Island. I wasn't feeling it, but you were right. You were right about Love
Okay, so
Island.
you were watching Love Island in the beginning. I'm new to
I was,
this, but
yeah.
I love it here.
Love Island season 1, people don't know. It was like, if you think Love Island is crazy now, it was even worse. Love Island season 1. They let anything happen. Like, you know, like when they turn the lights off, it's time to go to sleep, and then they'll they'll like, you know, cut the scene. They weren't cutting anything.
Okay, so
we saw it all.
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
it was wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like,
back.
watch this. But it's a hard sell because it's 50 episodes a season. So,
That's right. But you know what? That helps me pass a lot of time. So I got that. So I'm gonna go back.
I don't mind it. And then so when Wale moved back here after you got married, I was like, oh my gosh. And you had passed your exams and everything because you're a genius. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys should know each other.
Yeah. And then I had that event. And then we went to brunch and now we're here.
Yes. Time has been passing, but I'm so glad that y'all are here today. Okay, so of course we'll be talking about self-love today. And of course, when I like thought about today's episode, y'all were like the first two people that came to mind.
Oh,
I was just like, okay, yes, gotta have Sandra here, I gotta have Wale. But of course, to open up the episode, I just wanted to know, like, how do y'all define self-love?
I'm laughing because there's like a TikTok where it's like women circles be like, and then they'll be like, oh, how do you define something? Like,
red table talk.
Right. Right. It's like, no, but self-love to me is loving yourself just unapologetically, thoroughly, like all the good, the bad, the things that people know about you, the things that you only know about yourself, and really accepting yourself fully, no matter what, in whatever stage of life that you're in.
Got it. Love that.
Yeah.
How would you define this, Sandra?
When I was thinking about this, one of the first things that came to my mind was like honoring myself. And because a lot of the times we're like absorbing so many things from the outside, and it's like, okay, love is, I don't know. I feel like sometimes love is like an abstract word for me sometimes because people view it so differently. So I feel like honor has like the same meaning always. And I define self-love as honoring myself and just realizing is what I'm doing. Am I like being gracious to my body, to myself? And then my other thing is giving myself a chance because I'm so like, I'm my worst critic, to be honest. Like,
girl, we all are.
And I'm like, okay, I didn't even give myself a chance to like try this or like even let an experience happen or do something or even just like sit with whatever it is that I did wrong. So it's like, let me give myself a chance to like whether I succeed or fail or whatever. And I feel like that's showing myself love, is honoring myself and giving myself a chance.
Yeah, I love that.
Me too.
I feel like self-love is just like a journey for everyone. Like you just, there's like no book for it. Like there's no perfect like map for it. It's just like something you just like go on. But how has self-love evolved for y'all over time? Like where did it start? Where is it now? Like how would you describe that journey, right?
Long.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you said long, and it's not just like one time that you decide like, okay, today I'm gonna love myself forever. Like that would be fine, I guess. It'd be fun, maybe easier. But it's like a decision that you have to make every day. I think that's how it's evolved for me. It's like before it was like, you know, self-love, I'm gonna stay home and just kind of like pamper myself and that's it. Sure, that's a part of it, but I think as I've evolved and, you know, life has evolved, self-love to me is like really sitting with myself and looking at the parts that, you know, I love about myself and look at the parts that maybe I don't, and being able to fully accept those parts no matter what. I think that's how it's evolved for me. So it started off like cute and light, and then it got not cute. But it's cute again. And that's the up and down of it, I think.
What about for you, Sandra? Is your self-love ebbing and flowing, girl?
Definitely. Because to your point, and as you change, I feel like before it was like more like self-esteem focused and like how I feel about the way that I present myself to the world. Because I feel like I internalized like so many things that people said about me, especially being dark skinned. I feel like that was like,
girl.
ooh. What did they say? Like being dark skinned in elementary school was like being black in the 20s or something like that. Like it was giving very much Jim
Very
Crow.
relatable.
So bad.
And it's like you don't even recognize that you are dark skinned or not until you get to that point where someone is highlighting it to you. And you're like, oh, I mean, I guess. Like, is that a bad thing? And they're like, yeah, it is. And
Like
you're
the overhead
cool.
projector coming out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They're like, we're gonna watch a
The
movie.
worst.
It's like-
No, but it's really interesting that you say that because like there is, I think the research was done by Robin Goodman. Have you heard of her? She reported that the peak of a Black girl's confidence is at the age of 9. And it's like when I read that, I really read that from Elaine Weatherbach. Shout out to Elaine Weatherbach because girl, that book More Than Enough. Have you ever read that?
No.
It's a good book. It's a really
I like
good
her
book.
though.
I like her too.
I love her content. Everything about Elaine, I love. But when I read that in her book, I was like, that is crazy. Like it just kind of like could set things in perspective. Because just like, you know, after that age, a lot of women work towards like putting their confidence back at that age and stuff. So is that where you guys kind of like started self-love? Or where you noticed that like,
no.
there should be some talk about self-love?
You
Was it,
know?
like, more after that?
I feel like it was definitely way after.
Way after.
But it was, that's actually crazy because like I feel like I moved to Houston when I was 9. And it's like I was at a school with like, it was me and my sister and like one other girl. We're like the only Black people there. Everyone was Hispanic. I went to school in East LA. And so it's like, I knew I was a Black, but then coming to Houston and being around like more Black people, I'm like, oh, y'all like create different groups of Black. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will say that like definitely because I was 9. So that's really crazy. Statistics good job on that research. But like before then, I feel like my self-love was focused on like my esteem of self, like how I felt about myself and like kind of words, like watching the way that I talked to myself and like how I felt about myself. And I feel like as I've gotten older, since like I'm way more secure in myself, love my aesthetic, my appearance, all of that good stuff, I feel like the other part of that was like honoring like my insides and working on that. So like eating well, working out, also content I consume.
That's
just
huge.
stuff like that.
That's
definitely shifted the way that I looked at it for sure as I got older.
Yeah, I was gonna say college, really, which I know people probably like, that's a long time, but like, I don't know, middle school, high school were rough. Like, to be honest, because I think you want to express yourself, but you don't know how. You're also limited, right? And you want to be an adult so bad. So like when you get to college, you have all this freedom, you know. And to me, that freedom meant like I had the full range to explore myself and what I like and what I don't like, and to try new things and things like that. So, you know, I always joke about people that peak in high school. That was not me. And I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy about that. Like college was when I was like, okay, like you're kind of this, you're kind of, okay, cool. And then grad school, I was like, girl, yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was like a gradual progression. And like, you know, the older you get, the more secure I think and grounded you are in yourself. Like you get to a point, maybe this is like mid-20s, late 20s, when you're just kind of like, this is it.
Yeah.
So like, I either need to like get with it or like I can still be in this like loop of just like wanting things to be different and then deciding to punish myself by not taking care of myself in hopes that things are different, you know? So like you said, like eating stuff that feels good and moving your body in a way that resonates with you, and also being mindful of the content you consume, because it, I mean, you know, people say it, but it really does impact the way that you view yourself and the world around you. You know, if you're only following people that you idolize or that live a life that you want so badly for yourself, it'll never give you the space to feel grateful for the time that you have right now and like the present moment, you know, because we really only have this moment right here. Like the future is a mystery and it's not promised to us. So if you spend all your time absorbing content of wishing and would've, should've, it doesn't really help. Yeah. Unless you see it only as inspiration, then cool. But most of us don't. Like, being honest, like most of us are like, why do they get to have that? Or like, I wish I could do this.
It's hard though.
It
like
is.
Social media, I feel like social media made the concept, right, of self-love just kind of more challenging for a lot of folks, because it just kind of puts them in question of like, if I'm not doing this, then what am I doing, right? And if you don't see someone doing what you consider self-love, it just brings up all that comparison and all of that. So do y'all think social media still has an influence on the practice of self-love?
Oh yeah, definitely. The wellness industry made $7 billion last year.
Wow.
Yeah, this is my Roman Empire. Like the wellness industry is crazy when you really sit and look at it, because now we're being taught what self-love and taking care of yourself looks like, and it's kind of fallen into a space of only having products or experiences for the ultimate self-love. Like, there's vitamins, there's Sleepy Girl cocktails, there's Pilates.
Which is lean.
I have seen.
Oh my gosh!
I looked at that. So is that melatonin in a water? Like what?
Literally, is melatonin.
I watched the girl pour cough syrup in her thing. I'm like, I'm sorry.
And then I saw this one girl. She was like, "This is how you have the best sleep ever." I was watching the video and I was like, you just said like 14 different things. She sprays her feet with magnesium spray and then puts socks on. Then she gets a special pillow. Then she puts on her Hatch sleep machine. Then she puts on a mask that's a blackout mask. Then she sleeps with the stuffed animal under her shoulder so that it helps her neck as she's sleeping.
That's how people get robbed. She's not even gonna be able to get up. I was just saying.
So I was like, I mean, maybe you are gonna have the best sleep, but then if you're not looking at social media intentionally, you're hitting up Amazon like magnesium spray, blackout, and then now you're spending $200-$300. So the wellness industry has really been forcing us to feel like if we're not. Again, I mean, I love Pilates, but if we're not going to Pilates, if we're not, shopping these specific brands of foods, if we're not eating these particular oils, and if we're not drinking this much water, if we're not putting Celtic salt in water, and we're not hydrated, then we're not this, or we're not. So then if you're not, again, consuming it intentionally, you're like, oh, I'm just never gonna do it right.
You're always looking for the next thing.
Always. And to me, realistically, we live in a world where it's like we all work.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to work my job, do 10,000 steps every day, strength train, go to Pilates, take 14 vitamins,
and wake up on time.
Get 8 to 10 hours of sleep, because that's what they told me. Buy an Oura ring so that I can track my sleep.
Yeah.
It's
a lot.
It's so much. So you have to be intentional with your self-care in knowing that it has to be personalized to you.
Yeah. So how do you do it, Sandra? I mean, it's social media guru, like hair and beauty. Like, how do you find what works?
First of all, I feel like people are afraid to experiment. And I was just looking at someone's post about how people don't look things up. People don't take the initiative. Someone will make a whole video and be like, oh my gosh, I love this set from Amazon. Where's that set from? It's like, the lady said it. So for me,
they want you to send the link.
Exactly.
They don't want to do the work.
No.
Do the work for them.
So that's how I find stuff. It's a lot of trial and error, especially because I feel even for hair, my hair texture, I don't feel like I see a lot of people doing my hair texture or that look like me with my hair texture. And then even foundations and stuff like that, I still gotta mix. I still have to find
40, 50s, the undertones are still off.
Yeah, it's just because I'm dark doesn't mean I'm red. Let's try a little bit. But so I research and I enjoy experimenting. That's something that I really, really do like. If it's hair colors, I'll be just pouring things and mixing. I don't know, in my videos, I honestly don't even be knowing how stuff is gonna come out at the end.
Oh wow!
So,
but I love that you're transparent about that, because sometimes depending on who you're following, I just did this, I did that, and then boom, it just happened.
Right, and then you go in to do it. You're like, okay, actually, you skipped 14 steps in between here. Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. Right, you're right on experimenting. People don't anymore. Yeah, and it's sad.
It's sad. It's also really fun because it's also one of my favorite things is when I think about something in my brain and then I do it, I'm like, that Hannibus bird? I'm looking at my hands, I'm like, ah. So I feel even with my self-care routine, it's just trying things that work out and understanding that one size does not fit all. And I have allergies you wouldn't even believe. So having the stuff people be spraying, I'm like, I'm gonna go to sleep for good if I do that. So I don't know. I like trying new things. I feel like that's also like exploring and experimenting. I feel like that's a part of my self-care, self-love type of thing. Just trying.
It's like an
out.
active play. Like how, like as you get older, like do you really get to play if you don't be intentional about it? Like not really. You know, but you're right. Even with makeup, like remember the clean girl aesthetic. Like it wasn't bad, you know. It was pretty, but like, what happened to people having fun with their face, like, or having fun with their hair? Like, I love, fun like, I don't know if you all see like people steering away from the natural hair movement and being like, I want to have fun with my hair. Yes. I love that. Yes. Like, yes, girl, if you want to like have your leave out be damaged, let it be damaged.
Look at me now.
Like, let it be damaged. You can cut it and it's gonna go back. It's like guaranteed. Like
I had to straighten my hair in 2 years, and I was like, "What am I saving this thing for?
For what? Like, have fun." I know I have locks, but like, if I didn't, my hair would be cut, clipped, side, like, you know what I'm saying?
Take
like,
the chance.
Take the chance. Life is already so hard.
What that girl was talking about was like about like taking the chance, and it's like that's why everyone was making fun of that guy that was recording himself, not endorsing it or whatever. But it's that like people are afraid to try and afraid to fail. So watching someone else not be like ashamed of resetting up their tripod and redoing this again to shoot from this angle is because they're not like afraid to look silly, look weird. And to your point about play, I feel like it's because we want to do something and be perfect at it automatically, which does not happen.
Yeah. I mean, kids do stuff that they're not good at literally all the time.
Like, and parents encourage.
Yeah, they encourage you to do it. Like, why can't we approach ourselves in the same way? Like, we'll never know what we like if we don't put ourselves out there.
Exactly.
And I mean, people are always seeing the final product of things, right? And I feel like that's the same thing about like self-love. Like when it comes down to it, people don't know the process.
No,
right?
like
there's a process of self-love. Like there's some days, and I'm glad y'all said that it ebbs and flows, because there are some days where you're not going to be feeling your best, but you're moving, you're doing something that's a part of your routine or something that just feels good for you, right? But I feel like people look at the product and you're like, I know I just have to do it like this, or it has to come out like that. And I think we're all guilty of it sometimes, of just trying to self-correct and fall back into just the ease and the practice and the play of things.
Yeah.
So what's in y'all foundation of self-love?
Oh, I was about to say, I tell my clients all the time, that whole waking up at 6 a.m. and then doing that, I'm not doing that. And if you want to do it, I'm right there with you. Like, I love it for you. For me, no. I'm not a morning person, and I don't want to be. Like, and that's okay.
Yeah, that is.
Know? So that honoring myself in that way, being like, girl, you're not gonna wake up at 6
and that's
to write, and then make tea, and then stretch. You're not doing that, like, and that's okay. You don't have to do that. Like, so really finding what works for me is honoring my time. Like, I know I don't have a lot of energy in the morning, so I do very minimal things in the morning. I'll still get stuff done, but like at my own pace. And then I like to also, my self-love is reading a lot. I make time to read. People ask me all the time, how do I read so much? But I make time for it because I love it. I also take a lot of time to meditate and pray, but not in the morning sometimes. Sometimes it's like randomly at 2:00 or before I go to bed, or not. Like, if I don't that day, that's also cool too. Yeah. I like to be really gentle with myself when it comes to that. And then movement.
That's the word.
Like, sometimes, like, I'm going to Pilates 7:00 at night because I don't feel like doing it during the day. Or sometimes I'm not, and I'm just going to do a quick 30-minute walk outside, and that's all I got. And that's it. Like, and I'm okay with that. And that's like, I'm okay with that. So, not looking at everyone else. That's actually what I would recommend. Like,
definitely.
I like that.
For me, one of my things is keeping promises to myself. Like, I think that was like one of my New Year's resolutions like a while ago, when I was like, I'm gonna stop lying. So it was in there too. And
lying so real.
No lying to anybody, because I don't lie. It was one thing I do. I was lying too much just to be like nice. That sounds so bad. Like, not like that.
She's not a liar. She's not a liar. She's not lying.
Very
honest.
She's not lying.
Clear.
But I mean, like, I feel like that was like a part of like the people pleasing, even the stuff that you share. Like, it's like I was trying to like like do things that I didn't really like, be around people that I didn't necessarily like, or even like I don't want to say sparing people's feelings because I feel like other people's feelings matter, but like to the point that I'm not even being my authentic self because I'm worried so much about how you're going to perceive what it is that I said. So that was one of the things. And then keeping promises to myself. Like, it doesn't even have to be anything like so big, but it's like I have this expectation on other people that if they tell me something and they don't do it, I'm like just distraught. So it's like, I want to keep a promise to myself that I'm going to be nice. Like if I say that this week I'm going to do something really cute for myself, I want to do that.
Yeah.
If I say like, okay, this week I'm going to be for real and honest with my workouts. And this week I only got 4, but I'm going to go. Even if I'm just going to walk, like to your point, I'm going to keep that promise to myself.
Look, I go to the gym and I'm like, I can't even do the mental of trying to lift anything. I'm going to the treadmill.
Exactly. And I'm going to be on it.
Quick little dirty 30. I'm out of there.
That's
I'm out of there.
That is
I'm
enough.
on my way home like, all right, girl.
We
did it today. Let's go home and eat.
So like that. And then another thing is that like adjusting, I guess like, I don't know if it's my expectations, but realizing like I'm not the center of other people's like existence. So it's like me trying to do this, talk about some, oh my gosh, what are people going to say? Girl, they're not thinking about you.
And if
They're
they
really not
are,
thinking
they
about
shouldn't
you.
be thinking that hard. That's a little concerning.
Honestly. So yeah, just doing stuff because I want to, not because I'm worried about how like it's going to look, because they don't pay your bills. They don't call to check on you every day. Like, why does it really matter if they think that you look awkward doing something? Like,
because there's people that you have posted, I'm sure that have been in your comments like, oh, I really love this, or like this was so helpful to me. And like to me, if you get one of those, it was worth it.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah. So it's just really that, like just being myself. Like just, I know that's like such a cliche, but like just
No, it's not.
just
We
doing
need more of
something.
that.
Yeah, but I think it's really helpful to know how to laugh at yourself as well too.
Yes.
Right, a part of self-love. Because like y'all, sometimes like, you know, it can get real easy to like see things on social media, and I have fallen guilty to this. Especially when it comes to like the workout scene and stuff. Like y'all, there has been moments where I have embarrassed myself at the gym. But you know, I stay and I keep going back.
Yeah.
You know, but it's okay. And I think once I learned how to like laugh at myself at those moments, it just felt like a good practice to incorporate in my self-love, like humor, you know? And I feel like humor sometimes is missing.
The gym is really an embarrassing place if you think
It
about it.
can be.
All of
But then
us are
I always
making
tell myself,
noises.
like, girl, they shouldn't even look at you anyway.
Hello?
Like, focus on your focus. Like,
Everyone's grunting and lifting heavy things. It's like, what?
Like, it doesn't have to be
When
this
you think
deep.
about it, it's
Like,
kind of strange.
bring fun back to the gym. Like, I want to see people when they're doing random stuff. I'd be like, okay, cute.
There's a factory that makes weights. Like, if you think about it, like, that's stupid. and they mail it, and I'm like, yeah, ooh, heavy enough. And like, we're just picking up and putting things down. Like, I don't know. So when I fall off the treadmill, I be laughing. I did. I tried to take my shirt off on it. And like I got
That
stuck
was
and I flew
risky.
back. I know. I don't know why I thought that I was that
Risky.
coordinated. But I didn't like fall though. I landed on my feet. But it was just really, really, really
So
funny.
it's just a minor.
And I got back on that treadmill and I kept it up. But it was so funny. But I agree with that because if it's one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to laugh.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the early messages around self-love, right? What did y'all hear, right? Or what did you see? Right, because sometimes when I think about the practice of self-love, I kind of go back to like family, right? And like how that was kind of like from what I've seen or how that was modeled or practiced. And I'm wondering like for y'all, like were there any early messages around like self-love that y'all either seen being practiced or that was told to you?
Oh no. I feel like this is where the immigrant experience comes in. Because like the idea of self-love is frivolous to them most times. It's just like, yeah, of course, like I'm fine, everything's fine. Like I love myself, sure.
Do they have two heads?
Yeah.
Like,
there is a lot of comparison and like all of that stuff. And I mean, to your point, I think self-love and the idea of it is generational, intergenerational, you know. I mean, thankfully we have the internet for this one particular, or some of it is good. We get to see parents like do the thing where they're like, having affirmations with their kids and the kids are saying it back and you're able to see that like love and confidence grow with them, right? But I think growing up Nigerian, African, like it wasn't Like, yes, in a way, there was conversations about self-love, but it was more so based off of accomplishments.
I feel like also biblical.
Yeah.
It would be like lots of like the fruit of the spirit and like different like the I ams and all that stuff in the Bible. I feel like that's like, now that I think about it, that's the type of stuff that like if I know that there was a devotional that like one of the first lady of my church when I was younger, she like put out, and it was for women, and it was like just different verses from the Bible, and those were the things that my mom would like tell me to say every day. And then also I think it's like in food too. I would think about food as self-love, because they'll be like, don't be eating like outside food. They'll take the time to like make all that soup and like all the effort.
Which like we hated, right? Like, I don't eat McDonald's, I want Chick-fil-A, like this and that. But like as you get older, you're like, dang, y'all was really cooking for 4 hours.
And caring about like the everything to go into my body and stuff. Yeah. So I would say that, and definitely the Bible for sure. But I can't think of you was kind, you was smart.
Yeah, it wasn't giving that. It wasn't giving that.
That's not giving that.
But you know, again, right, you have the opportunity to change it based off of your own experiences. So it's like, you know, when you have a kid, you can be like, okay, like loving yourself is really important, right? Here's what we can do to start, you know, here's what we shouldn't do. Here's what we shouldn't say, right? Like being able to catch those moments where like maybe there's like doubt, or there's like a lot of like a can't, or this is impossible, right? And being able to kind of stop that, you know, because
But I'm glad I brought up culture, because I'm also wondering, like, does culture play a role in how people practice self-love, right? Especially when we talk about expectations that are sometimes projected onto people from family members, right? Like what you may want for yourself, maybe outside of your self-love practice, right? Or goes against your self-love practice. So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on that, or experience in navigating through that?
It's definitely true. Luckily, my mom wasn't one of the people that's like, if you're not a doctor, you're nothing type of vibes.
Yeah, same.
So she let me like actually like try things out that I like, and pick my own major, say what it is that I'm like interested in school, things like that. Because I went to school for retail merchandising and consumer science, fashion parade, you know, she didn't care. So that wasn't anything that was bad, but she wouldn't, sometimes when I would like use certain words or whatever, or she would say certain words, I'm like, you know, I wouldn't use that for that. And she didn't have like that context, like that. The context that she would have would be the context of Nigeria, when it's like, there's like self-love, all those ideas. It was like, of course, you should feel good about yourself. You know, you're a child of God. You're the head and not the tail, all that type of stuff. That's where her self-love will be coming from, rather than like, oh, self-care, like I want to treat myself to like this and that. That's not where it will be coming from. It's like, it's coming from the Lord. It's coming from like doing stuff. So like different family members, they will be like trying to project how they act, because a lot of them will be like, if you're not a doctor, you're nothing type vibes. But the Bible is definitely like the context for a lot of where, I guess, a lot of Nigerian people, or even the Quran, if you're Muslim, it's like a religious-based concept, not like
something from any like it's just not ingrained. It's more so just like, the Bible tells us this and we believe it. So there's no like actual conversation about it. But my mom wasn't like that either, thankfully. But I mean, there are so many people who like their parents put so much pressure on them to do maybe things that they have no interest in doing in order to gain that love and acceptance from them. And that is, I think, cultural for many people, right? But, you know, hopefully, again, if you're able to recognize that within yourself, you can kind of stop that at your generation before you're passing it on.
But it's a process, right? Like anything, right? And I think sometimes when we talk about like that resistance that some people may be facing in terms of like trying to figure out their self-love and how to practice that, and family expectations, like mental health comes up in that as well too, like that internal challenge. And I'm wondering, like, when we talk about mental health, because, you know, I love mental health, right? But when we talk about mental health and the practice of self-love, I'm wondering, what are some of the tools or some of the techniques that you all have like used, right? To kind of balance the two, where you're noticing that when you're either experiencing depression or something related to like mental health, right? How do you still incorporate self-love into that?
I would say it's meeting yourself where you're at and like what do you have the capacity for. Like, you know, with depression, oftentimes some of the first things to go is like body care, any sort of like just like normal like toothbrushing, face washing, that kind of stuff kind of goes to the wayside because like it all feels like, what's the point, right? So if you know that that's something that you're struggling with, like kind of picking out, if I can't do this, all of this today, like what can I do, right? Like if I don't feel like showering all day, can I at least get in there by midnight, you know, kind of meeting yourself where you're at, just to do the bare minimum, right? Knowing that the bare minimum is enough for you right now and that eventually you'll be able to add the extras, right? So.
Sandra, what are your thoughts on mental health in the practice of self-love?
Yeah. For me, I would say introspection. Like one of the things I like to do is like take inventory of myself and kind of understand what it is that I'm experiencing because I'm a very, I don't want to say literal, but I like words. Words mean things to me and I want to make sure that I'm understanding and listening to myself. So like stillness really helps me. And I'm like, okay, what is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I'm upset at or bothered by? What is it? Like, what's the source of it? Is it something that I can fix right now? If not, what is it that I can do for myself right now to like make me feel a little better? And just, I try my best to be self-aware because I'm the only person that's always with me all the time. So if I'm not really checking in on myself and understanding what is it that, I don't want to say bother, but what is it that I'm feeling or what is it that is causing whatever is going on. So I try to like figure it out. And if I can't understand that, that's okay too.
Just normalizing the fact that like you're just giving yourself space, right? I think that's really important, a part of self-love, because there's so much going on. And I always tell people like, there's too much that goes on in a day, right? There's too much to go on in a day for me not to acknowledge like myself, right? And I think it's really interesting because then we start talking about friends, right? My favorite topic, friends, right? I wonder like when we talk about friends and self-love, like how can that work in sometimes? Because yes, when I feel like college was like a big wake up call, especially like for myself. And like when I like looked at everyone else's process, like just from the outside looking in, that like, oh wow, my friends had a huge impact on like my self love, right? Because like everything I did was like, if I wanted to go get some pizza or if I needed to like have a moment, like I wasn't having that moment by myself. I was having that moment with friends, right? So then when like college ended or undergrad ended and I was like, okay, now I have to really be an adult. Okay, so I just wonder like in terms of like friends and dynamics and self-love, like how can that be managed, right? How can the practice of self-love be managed in a friend group and seeing the friend group go through changes?
Child, that's real. I'm thinking about it right now. Like,
I think it's also meeting your friends where they're at too. Like, it's one thing to be in college and then, you know, you do everything together. You go out to eat, you go to parties, you go to class, you go to events, you travel together. Everyone is in that same period of life. So when you leave college, everyone is kind of doing their own thing and trying to figure out their own way individually. So if you still have those same expectations of them that you had when you were in college, I think it just leads to conflict because you won't be able to make everything with your friends and you won't be able to support them through everything. You'll try, but sometimes you miss the mark. And I think if you're able to have an open conversation about it, it'll help, right? But if you can't and you can't find a middle ground and like understanding where your friends are now versus where they were years ago, it might be kind of time to look at this friendship differently. Because like, we're all adults and we're all going through things, right? But communication changes as you change and your needs change in friends as well too. And there are friends that are open to changing with you and there are friends that aren't, right? So knowing the difference is hard, but
I feel like that's something that I'm like working through right now, honestly, in a few of my relationships, because for me, like to your point, as like always being around people, there was one of my like closest friends in college passed away. And so I feel like I secluded myself a lot. And so I started experiencing things by myself. So I feel like that helped prepare me a little bit, I guess, for this change that's happening now. And just understanding that people are at different points and people are changing, just like there's things that are changing me. So I try not to take a lot of things personally. And that kind of goes back to my being self-aware things. It's like, am I overemphasizing my place in this person's life at this moment because I want it to only be about like what I'm going through and what's happening to me, and not giving them the space to that they're going through something too. So kind of trying to find the balance between those, because it's like, okay, you have to respect their process and their time, but at the same time, I know what it is that I want from a friendship, and I don't want to be neglected. So it's like I'm walking on a tightrope.
Always.
And so that's something that like I'm processing, especially as different relationships change. And then on the flip side of that, embracing the people that are coming into my life now that understand me as I am now, and not placing the expectations of who I used to be on me now. So it's a process, and I really feel like moving away all those different times like really helped me grow as a person, and understand what it is that I need, because we're not like stagnant, we're not static, we're moving. And to your point about open conversations, that's something that's so important, because everyone's just sitting here in silence feeling some type of way.
Yes.
Like,
The
you gotta
thing.
like me, but you gotta
communicate.
You gotta communicate.
Yeah.
You got
Communication
to.
definitely is key. But
For sure.
whenever I think about communication and like friendships, it's hard to navigate.
Yeah.
Because if you're used to practicing your self-love in a group,
Mhm.
then you kind of take on everyone else's emotions.
Yes.
You're people pleasing, and that's impacting your process. And it's just, you can get lost in the mix sometimes, I feel like, right? So I get that with friendships. Like, it takes practice, exploring, and also just keeping yourself open.
Mhm.
But with romantic relationships,
I'm scared.
I'm scared.
I'm scared.
I don't know what you about to ask.
Because romantic relationships, like, of course, it's the month of February, right?
Mhm.
So Valentine's Day, however you may see it in this month, like if you celebrate it, if you don't celebrate it, it's still something that comes up for a lot of people in terms of thinking about like how do they see themselves like navigating through love, right? And what love is. And social media, it really puts its, like, I don't know how to say it.
You
but
gotta have your flowers. You gotta have
really
the
puts
dark
it-
exposure.
Yeah, you gotta be honest. Like, sometimes you fall into that.
Yeah.
Like, an example of that is, so I'm married. So my husband, I was like, I need you to ask me to be your Valentine.
Yeah.
And he was like, you've been watching too many TikToks. And he was low-key kind of ate with that. Like, he was low-key kind of right. Because he doesn't need to ask me. But I was like, I see all these girls like, oh, he asked me to be his Valentine.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. That's real.
Yeah.
But like sometimes, like, do you need that? No. You don't. That doesn't mean anything. Like, so really being able to catch yourself, be like, okay, you falling into it a little bit.
It's so easy to get wrapped up in that. But like with romantic relationships and self-love, I see a lot of time people are always trying to find the balance in between the two. Or when they're dating, they're trying to find the balance between the two of like, okay, this is me actually wanting, like, this is me and my self-love practice versus like, this is me being in a relationship. And I'm wondering, can you separate the two? Is it possible to balance the two?
Yeah. Absolutely. If you're intentional.
You gotta be so for real. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot, like, it goes into the people pleasing thing. It's like, oh my gosh, this is something that is really important to me. This is like something that I feel like I need to do all the time. But is he gonna get mad at me? Is my partner not gonna like that I do this or whatever? And
Should you be with someone like that?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
But sometimes people like don't ask those questions to themselves because the answers scare them, and it's better to keep what you got than to be without. And you got to be real with yourself, and with your person. Like I feel like if you don't feel safe to have those type of conversations and to discuss those things, then what are we doing?
Correct.
Yeah. But I mean, relationships are more than just giving, right? I mean,
of course. It's nice. Like, let's be honest. Like,
I mean,
you know,
the people, give a gift.
the people that do, you know, the 100 roses. Like, the 100 roses, they're cute.
They
on the bag,
awesome.
you know, the bags,
I mean,
the chocolate, the trips. Like,
if it's on your heart, give.
You know, is that it?
But is that it? No.
You know, because we see some of these relationships and we're like, dang, we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We have no idea. And I'm not saying every relationship that, you know, they have there out there is like a bad one, but like we just never know, you know, until, you know, they come out and they're like, hey guys.
The press release.
And you're like, okay. So you have to be honest, like you said, be honest with yourself about what you want. Because for me, I love a Galentine's.
No, I love a Galentine's.
I love it. Like, let's put our PJs on. Let's eat. Let's do something together. Let's do an activity. Let's hang out with my girls. Like, to me, that's like a really big love practice that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But like, you know, on Valentine's Day, I also get to spend it with, you know, my partner. But like, does that mean that that's it? That's the only way I'm celebrating love that day? No. But I'm intentional about it. You know, I want to love myself too. You know, it's nice to be loved, but it's even better to know the love is coming from yourself.
I like to tell people all the time that, like, I believe every relationship is like a teaching relationship. And I just wonder, like, do y'all see yourselves, or would y'all encourage other people to teach people how you love yourself? Like, would you teach someone the practice of your self-love, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I've seen that too. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's such a private...
Is it personal?
Yeah, it's a private...
Or would you teach someone, like, your practice of self-love, like your partner?
Maybe not your practice of self-love, but how you like to be loved.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's like a slight difference there, but like, you know, your practice is your practice.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's important to keep that.
But I think also imparting how important it is to you. So like, 'cause sometimes people don't understand. It's like, girl, why are you making this tea at 6:30 in the morning? Like, why is that something that you always have to do? It's like, you know, this is something that's important to me. This is like telling them that. But like, I agree that it's like something that's personal, but also it's good to explain or to let people in to understand why something is as important to you as it is, because they'll never know. And then now you're butthurt because they're like, you and your stupid tea. You're like,
you're like, stupid. You don't know. Like,
exactly.
Don't be judging me.
Exactly. Yeah, like it's still personal, but it's to be like, you know, this is something that's important to me.
It's also like a bonding moment.
Yeah.
You're like letting them into your practice a little bit, into your life, into your feelings. And that takes trust and, you know, all those things.
Definitely.
But romantic relationships can be hard sometimes, right? So I'm wondering, what essentially would you tell someone, a friend, right, if you're noticing that they're going through a really hard time in their romantic relationship, right? Whether their partner, they're feeling good, but their partner's not doing good, right? And that can have an impact on how someone practices self-love, right? So I'm wondering, like, what would you tell that friend, or how could someone navigate through that?
Y'all the professionals. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Dang.
Putting it on ice.
I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. I think it is one of those things where sometimes it's like tough to see your friend like going through a tough time in their relationship. But I think all you can do is really encourage them to take care of themselves too, as they're trying to take care of their partner for whatever they have going on or whatever is going on between them, right? And also encourage them to do what feels best to them, regardless of that, and letting them know that you value and respect whatever decision they make in regards to their partner, which I know can be hard sometimes. You know, you hear one bad thing and you're like, hate him.
He got now.
Yeah, and that's not realistic because sometimes they don't go. So now what you gonna do? You gonna be frowning at the wedding? Like, come on.
No.
Like, come on now. So, you know, really being supportive of your friend as an individual.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. She said, I felt it.
Because like honestly, this is going back to like understanding where someone's at, because I feel like I've fallen into the thing of like absorbing all of their problems as my own. And now I'm not sleeping because like I'm a very passionate person when it comes to my friends. Like, don't mess with them for real. So it's like understanding, okay, I'm here to support you, yes. These are my opinions, but you need to protect yourself. And so you are not falling into your sleepless nights and like absorbing all of what's going on with them onto yourself. Like you can be helpful without also suffering too. That makes any sense. It's a balancing act once again.
It is.
But communication.
So y'all talked about being in different parts of like moving. Y'all talked about moving, being in different parts of the country or being in different parts of like, the country. So I'm wondering like, where you've been at, how does that influence your practice of self-love? Because I heard sometimes the way people, be moving in New York is a little bit different from how
it is.
And how people be moving in LA is a little bit different from how people be moving in like, let's say, I don't know, in a different country. Guatemala, something like that. But I'm wondering like, depending on where you're at, right? Does that influence your self-love practice?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you have more money in Houston, really.
Bad.
I'm just saying.
Bad.
Like, in New York, it's tough. Every day was stressful. You're spending money all the time, not willingly most times. So that's stressful as well, too. You got to rely on a subway. Like, there's just so many layers of stress, right? Whereas I think here in Houston, because one, you have more space. So like, that's already one thing. Two, you get to have more financial ability to like do the things that maybe feel good to you. So that makes a difference as well, too. And like, I think because Houston is kind of an individual city, you get to kind of take a step back from going out and doing things if you just really need to take care of yourself. Whereas I feel like in New York, it's like, if you don't go out, then you just go home to be sad sometimes. Like, just being honest. Like, if you're stressed from work, someone's like, oh, come here, come to this happy hour, come to this. And you're like, okay, yeah, like, that's gonna make me feel better. Like,
we love
I want to do it. Whereas, like, here, it's like, you can be at home and not know nothing's going on and be totally content. And sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
For me, it's like different. I feel like I did have some sad times because baby, New York will beat you up. But, like, I feel like it helped me like establish certain things that like, I'm not going to go without this. Like I'm always going to get a pedicure. Yeah. I love my feet and so do other people. So I was in the snow trekking to go get my feet done because that's something that was so important to me.
So, yeah.
And your nails.
And my nails. Yeah.
Sure.
I would look, I'm not going to dinner, but I'm going to get my nails done.
Let's talk about
I'll see y'all at the next one.
They're like, you have slides in the snow. Yeah, I did paint. I can't put them back in a boot.
I lived in Brooklyn. I would take the subway to 34th Street to get my lashes done every 2 weeks.
How far lady was there
too. It's far.
I mean, depending. You got on the 3-2 or did you get on the
I had to get on the 3 and then transfer to the 1.
Oh, see, I don't even like to transfer. But my eyebrow lady, she was expensive too. But I love like just being in there. I loved it. It was a Black-owned spa. All the ladies in there, they were of color. It was so beautiful in there. It's like New York was nasty and terrible outside, but once you walk in there, it was amazing.
It was worth
and I just never could like not go. Like even if I was in the Bronx, I'm heading to. It was on 34th.
Yeah, I'm like I'd be like crying, like, oh my god, I'm gonna pay my bills. I'm getting my lashes done. It's like I'm gonna get them done.
It helped me understand what was important to me, like what I could not do without.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that because that's so real.
These lashes, listen, they get done.
I always had a pedicure. They're like, they're gonna be in boots. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I don't care.
For me, I need it.
I need to.
That's real.
So what is on y'all playlist when it comes to like self-care? Like what if you could create like a self-care playlist, what would it be? I know we hear some phones, we want real answers here.
That's a good question.
That's really good.
Who is on the self-care or self-love playlist? And it could be artist or song.
I listen to the same people all the time.
Same.
So like I would say like Cleo Soul for sure.
Okay, girl, me too.
I
I'm
love
telling
her.
you people, y'all's like music taste is
I love her.
so similar.
My music taste has changed a lot. Mostly because of the climate. Like, not every Ice Spice's new song, like, come on. You know, it was cute. Her Rain was great last year. This song she just came out with is terrible.
I haven't heard it.
It is extremely
and
bad.
I'm an Ice Spice fan.
I like her too.
You're a Spice cabinet. What is it?
I like her too.
Munchkins. They're munchkins.
Yeah. But it's like some of the music, most of the music coming out is really bad. And like, you know, when you really look at the lyrics, I feel like, again, with the self-love, you gotta also be like, okay, do I need to be internalizing these messages? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all down for like women empowerment. Like, yeah, but then some of it I'm like,
See, I'm somewhere in between Sexy Red and Cleo Soul. Like, right? I'm like, right
in the middle.
In the middle there. Because I'm like, you know,
I get that.
they give self-love to me, and I like that.
She didn't get mad at I dropped it. I didn't even, that's not even a part of my self-love song. But I feel like I'm a Drake, Pop Smoke, Beyonce, Meg Girly.
Remember we were talking about Surveillance? That was a tragic tale.
I left work. When I found out that Pop Smoke died, I left. I left.
But yeah, this
What
was
am I supposed to be here to do?
like, you know, because
My
we
king
don't
is God.
we don't
A
think
true
about
pillar
we
in
don't
community.
think about stuff, but like he posted his address accidentally.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how it
That was
that
really
was
sad.
really scary
Yeah,
and
no,
sad.
that was really sad.
Like, y'all gotta be careful
Oof.
out there.
But
How did he get in there?
he's always in there. He's always going to
is
be in
he
there.
giving self-empowerment?
He is. It's 100 N-words in the club. I'm walking through it. Invincible.
Okay.
That's my song. That really makes me feel like
Invincible.
Invincible.
Okay.
That
it
girl.
does for real.
Okay.
Y'all not feeling it, but
I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to
it's
get
okay.
there. I'm trying to get
Element is also another one. Shake the Room.
Element is great.
I like Shake the Room.
NPR. I need that
Mhm.
money, that power, respect. Don't we all?
Yeah. Real?
I can see it now. I can see it. I can see it.
Like, yeah, I love him. He's a very empowering figure in my life. And Hamilton. Hamilton is always going to be on my self-care
You
playlist.
know, Hamilton, I do love that one. Of course, it'll slide his stuff in there once in a while.
It's always going to slide stuff in there. Double platinum in my house.
Also, this might be weird, but 2020, Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. Okay.
When you
Oh,
just
the album.
the album,
I
yeah.
thought you meant the year. I was like,
No.
He wasn't
And
making no noise.
everything after 2020, the album,
Yeah,
I don't know
honestly.
anything about it. But
Yeah.
that album in
It's a good
particular, when I
album.
was if I'm having a bad day, if I'm having a good day, I'm gonna put that album on.
September 5th by Division, that album.
Yeah, Division House.
I will, okay, yeah. So, like, you know, sometimes we were like romanticize your life or whatever. So, one of the things is like, I'll like light a candle and turn off the lights, like take a shower, and it's gonna be September 5th playing.
I'm
That's
like
nice.
so team shower at night. Like I be telling people, I'm like, you need to really hear me because you gotta set the vibe.
Yeah.
Like I even went out and bought this Galaxy light.
Really?
So it's like the stars.
Yeah, so turn the light on, turn that light on, and it's just like a moving galaxy on your ceiling as you're in the shower. Like, come on, you see it.
That's
you see
so
it.
cool.
And that's my night routine. Like,
I love that.
a little candle,
Link
put
me.
that on. I got you.
Not who we just were talking about.
Right. You know, intentional. 'Cause I use it every day.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Every night. Like, as soon as I turn that light on, my mind's like, okay, we're getting
We're
ready to
getting
go to
bed.
sleep.
Yeah.
Like,
I got
I
little
love
like
that.
what are those? It's not a bath bomb, but it's like these little tablets that I found
the
at Ross.
steamers?
Yes, and it just added like another level to it. My mom was like, "You're so fancy." I'm like, "Girl, you need to try it too." It's
It's
a
these
good
little
time.
moments. If they can
Mhm.
make your day feel better, why not?
Why not?
The world is so tough. Like,
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
moments of softness. And
I
that's my
love
galaxy
that.
light.
Yeah. I'm so glad y'all were here today. Thanks
for having
Thanks for
us.
having us.
Yay.
Can't wait to see like all of your episodes and all your other
Same.
guests and everything. This is gonna be
Same.
so
I don't
big
think
for
they'll
you.
be as great as us. So sorry.
Was it Clock That Tea?
I mean,
really helped set the first episode off. Like, I'm so excited that y'all were able to be a part of it.
Of course.
Like, y'all experiences, the tools, and different things that y'all added to today's conversation just embody self-love. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Me, Myself, and Healing. Today was our first episode, y'all. And I had my amazing guests, Sandra and Wale, here to join me. So there's more to come, of course, but just stay on the lookout and stay tuned.